I asked my favorite booktubers what their favorite book has been so far in 2022, and almost everyone answered. But I wanted to make this video a bit different this time, so I've only asked small booktubers, meaning booktubers with less than 10,000 subscribers. Alright, without further ado, take it away, Alan. Also, make sure to check out all of these channels, they are all amazing. I'll leave their links down in the description down below.
Hi, Library of a Viking. This is Alan from the Library of Allenxandria, and my favorite book of 2022 so far is Boosh, The Company. This is a standalone by K.J. Parker. This is not a well-known book. It is about 5 war vets who are friends and decide to populate an abandoned island, and that's basically it. But the reason I like it so much is because it is a brilliant character study. Parker writes nuanced human beings like at their worst, better than really any author I know. It is about friendship, it is about misplaced loyalty, it's about secrets, it's about how far you will go to achieve your ends, and is there no line you will not cross. If you like books that you just walk away from sad because it had just such a bleak outlook on things, but are left with a story that will sit with you for a long time, you need to pick up The Company, or really anything by K.J. Parker.
Hey, Library of a Viking, I am Brian Lee Durfee, and I'm coming at you with my favorite read of 2022. That was Tad Williams' Into the Narrow Dark. This is book number 3 in his magnificent Last King of Osten-Ard trilogy. It follows his Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn trilogy. In fact, I've got every Tad Williams book right here. It's one of my favorite authors and a really good friend. So if you want to read something awesome, get anything by Tad Williams.
Readers,
reviewers,
countrymen,
lend us your ears. Thank you, Library of Viking, for having us, the Brothers Gwynne, on the channel, and we're going to be talking about our favourite read of 2022, which we both agree is
Hunger of the Gods. Now, Dad paid us, what, 50 quid to say this in this video? No, I'm joking. But yeah, if I wasn't going to choose A Hunger of the Gods, which is by the mighty John Gwynne, Papa Gwynne as we know him, then I would choose Boudica, Dreaming the Eagle, which is just a wonderful, wonderful book. It's a historical fiction set around the time of Boudica, and it is the most epic historical fiction I've ever read.
And I would choose Empire the Vampire because this just caught my attention. It was captivating, some fantastic characters, amazing plot. I was just hooked the whole way through. And so yeah, that's our favourite reads. Thank you, Library of Viking, for having us on.
Truth and courage.
Hey, Library of a Viking. Thanks for including me in the video. My name is Alex, and my favorite read of 2022 so far is The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. This book gave me so many familiar feelings to something like Uncharted or a movie like Mission Impossible. Scott Lynch does not hesitate to use tons and tons of swear words, which I personally love. I found the dialogue fantastic, and it's very rare that a book makes me laugh out loud. This book made me laugh out loud probably a dozen different times. It's truly in its own league as far as the comedy goes, and just it's so well done, and it functions beautifully as a standalone. So if you never continue the series, if he never finishes the series, it's fine. This book stands up incredibly well on its own. So if you're a fan of character-driven stories and a well-realized world in a relatively low fantasy setting, this is definitely a book to check out. It's fantastic.
Sorry for interrupting the video. I just wanted to say a special thanks to my patrons who support my passion for books. I really, really appreciate it. Now, let's get back to the video.
Hello, Library of a Viking. Alex here from TallGuyReads, and you asked me what my favorite book of 2022 is so far, and without a doubt, that has to be The Wall of Storms by Ken Liu, Book 2 of the Dandelion Dynasty, and I absolutely love this book. This silkpunk epic fantasy book essentially has everything that I love about those massive, sprawling, multi-generational stories that is incredibly rich in its world building of its lands, people, culture, and technologies, while also amazingly intimate in its study of ambition, destiny, and family. This all results in an 800-page book that is utterly gripping from beginning to end. I would recommend The Wall of Storms and the overall Dandelion Dynasty series to anyone who's really interested in a unique epic fantasy series that blends in elements from other genres to result in a very compelling read.
Hi, Library of a Viking. Thank you for having me on a channel. My favorite book of this year so far needs to be Promise of Blood by Brian McClelland. It starts with the main character killing the king, and he then needing to face the consequences in stopping a potential war. It's a very fast-paced story. Your heart will be boom, 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 boom all of the time. It has a mystery at its heart, an epic prophecy, great characters, and an amazing magic system composed on 3 different types of mages. I really hope this book's for you as well.
Hi Library of a Viking, it's me Charles from NotSoSecretBookaholic, and I just wanted to tell you about my favourite book of 2022 so far. So for me, my favourite book so far of this year is definitely Voice of War by Zach Argyle. And one of the many reasons I've actually fallen in love with this book is definitely the magic system. So just to sell you on this book just a little bit, this book is full of thread weavers, and a thread weaver is someone who can manipulate different threads either for air or for earth. I thought this idea was so clever, the way it is written is beautiful, the world building is fantastic, and so are the characters. So there is my favourite book of this year so far. Can't wait to see what everyone else says.
Hey Library of a Viking, it's Mel from mellenorereads, and my favorite fantasy of 2022 so far has been Ashes of the Sun by Django Wexler. I have loved this book due to its very unique magic system. It has a splash of sci-fi that it does incredibly well, the relationships between all of the characters, and the fact that from the very first page I was completely hooked and the action kept me going throughout the entire novel. I absolutely loved the way that this book played on sibling relationships and felt that the descriptions of some of the creatures were top notch. If you're looking for a fantasy novel that's super unique, this one may be for you.
Hi Library of a Viking, it's Grace from the channel GraceDionne, and thank you so much for inviting me to this collaboration with a bunch of fantastic booktubers. My favorite book so far, if I really just have to choose one in the year of 2022, is Ship of Destiny by Robin Hobb. But I have to admit, I'm going to cheat a little bit and acknowledge the entire Live Ship Traders trilogy by Robin Hobb, with Ship of Destiny being the concluding book and a fantastic cap on a fantastic series. The reason that I love this trilogy so much is because of Robin Hobb's fantastic writing, her world building, her character work that is second to none, and just her entire magic system and plot and how all of those things work together is masterful in my opinion. And for those of you who love intricate high fantasy with complex characters, I would 100% recommend the Live Ship Traders as one of the series that you should absolutely read.
Hi Library of a Viking, it's been a great year for me so far, so picking a favourite was always going to be difficult, but my best book of 2022 so far is The Iron Crown by L.L. McRae. I love what we had in this book. The world building is really well done. The characters in it are great, and I really appreciated the relationships that they had. Some of them were surprising, but they were all well done and believable. I really love the different take that we got on dragons here. To see an author try something new with them is always a good thing. In here though, we also have griffins, and everyone loves griffins at the moment. There's monsters, there's magic, there are some heart-stopping moments in this book, so I really had a great time reading it, and I'm sure everyone else will too.
Well, hello Library of a Viking, it's Josh here at RedFuryBooks. Of the 68 books I've read so far this year, my favorite has definitely been Shogun by James Clavell. This epic work of historical fiction will also appeal to fantasy and science fiction fans, and not just because it's a big chunker. It's set in the year 1600 as we follow an English pilot who's shipwrecked on the coast of Japan. So we see these vastly different worlds, these vastly different cultures colliding in the form of this pilot and the Japanese. It's a story about the samurai and heroism and duty and honor, political intrigue, but above all cross-cultural learning, which is what I loved most about this book. I hope that some of your viewers will love to read Shogun by James Clavell.
Hi Library of a Viking, my name is Kayla from KaysHiddenShelf, and my favorite book of 2022 so far is The Legend of Black Jack by A.R. Witham. This is a self-published coming-of-age portal fantasy that follows a young Jack Swift as he's pulled from his normal life into the magical world of Keymark, a fantastic adventure that explores the wonder of childhood while still giving you impactful moments that reach as an adult. We get a mix of magical creatures, action, pirates, knights, the exploration of father-son relationship, and friendships. This is reminiscent of The Never-Ending Story, The Page Master, and I'd recommend for any fans of those genres. Thank you for having me, and enjoy.
Hello Library of the Viking, and thank you very much for letting me on the channel. My favourite read of 2022 so far has to be Jade Legacy by Fonda Lee. This is the culmination of the Green Line saga, which is set on the modern fantasy island of Kekon, and we're following the Cool family, who are one of the prominent leaders of the Nopi clan, which is one of the Greenbone clans. And so this is a very innovative, original, and exhilarating just trilogy. Like, each one gets better and better as it goes along. And it ends in this fantastic culmination that was surprising. I cried a lot. It's very much a family drama that takes its time and allows its characters to grow and change. The culture is expanded on and explored. And not only the culture that we're following, but also the advancing collision of other cultures and other countries impressing themselves on the nation we're following. And I truly believe that this series in particular will be a signpost when we look back in the changing landscape of modern fantasy, how we can approach it.
Hi Library of the Viking, Abby here from the channel AbbySalter. My favourite book of 2022 is The Wall of Storms by Ken Liu, the second book in the Dandelion Dynasty, a Chinese-inspired epic historical fantasy, with the first book being The Grace of Kings. The Grace of Kings is set on the Kingdom of Dara, following a cast of characters as they deal with the political ramifications of the Emperor's death. I loved the direction of this sequel, and I found that the world building in this was absolutely spectacular. I'm so engaged in knowing more about this world, and particularly in this one, I fell in love with these characters. I found them so dynamic and I was so invested in all of them and their lives. I also really thoroughly loved the politics and the action scenes throughout this, and I found the writing of these scenes so engaging, and I was just racing through this 850-page book, and it made it feel literally half its length. Thank you, Library of a Viking, for having me on so that I'm able to continue gushing about this book.
Hey Library of a Viking, you asked what my favorite read of 2022 was so far, and I chose Speaking Bones by Ken Liu. This is the fourth and final book of the Dandelion Dynasty, which begins with Grace of Kings. Liu pitches this series as an epic fantasy where the heroes are engineers, not wizards, whether that be mechanical engineers or engineers of social or political revolution. Now, endings are very important and can make or break a fantastic series, and what I loved about this book is not only is it a great ending that elevated everything that came before it, it is also the right ending. I can't picture a better ending for this series. This book made me feel every emotion, and over the course of 4 books, Liu was able to paint a vivid portrayal of Dara, an Asian-inspired world that blends Eastern and Western cultural influences to create something that feels truly unique. His prose is philosophical without sacrificing readability, and he has created an amazing cast of characters that are vividly brought to life. The battles are epic, the magical creatures are awesome, and this series will leave you with so much to discuss. I truly think it's one of the best series I've ever read.
So that is it. See you in the next video.